What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Duke Crew. This is Ball Hawk, Fatima LaFawn of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live and Coach Dan by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. A Lions Talk Live morning show edition, and as you probably tell from the thumbnail today, there's at least something to pay attention to with one of the star defensive backs for the Detroit Lions. You can call him a linebacker, you can call him a safety, you can call him a cornerback. Well, I think we all get it. Brian Branch is multi-versatile with this team, and for the last few weeks, it appears he has been dealing with something going on that is extenuating from his ankle and his foot. This is coming to us from Dave Burkett of the Detroit News and Free Press. Says there was a noticeable limp in Brian Branch yesterday. We're going to dive into this during the main topic of the day, what this may mean for this weekend, or maybe for a little bit of time with Brian Branch. All this is coming from Dave Burkett of the Detroit News. You guys get it, man. Free Press. He's been around for a long time. I've known him for a bit of time, and both him, to be fair, some other reporters with MLive, etc., all said the same thing. Brian Branch yesterday's practice, noticeably limping, little limited. He's been listed as limited participation this week. Could this be precautionary by the team? Investigative? That's what we'll have to dive into and try to ascertain. He may play this week. He may not. But since he is one of the star players for this team, you probably at least want to pay attention to it. Again, we'll address this during the main topic of the day. Also, before the main topic of the day, if you would be so kind, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. We're trying to get the show to 15,000 subs. We are 130 away from that. So if you can help out, that would be great. While hitting the subscribe button, hit the like button. We try to get every episode of the show between 200, 300, 400 or more. Thumbs up or likes. Last, but most certainly, never least, if you are considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, let alone the continental United States, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. Been in the industry over 30 years. Going to help a Duke Crew member out later today over in Zeeland, Michigan, who's looking for a property. So, hey, if you want somebody who's going to watch your back, try to make sure you don't get overworked, jobbed, or anything by anybody within the process of buying property, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. I'll make sure I watchdog your back. All right, all that done, set out of the way. Let's get this show rocking, rolling, going, and kicking off with 5 headlines now. Man, I am still getting used to these new speakers. All right, 5 glorious headlines coming your way. 1, 2, 3. Jameson Williams gets support from Kelvin Shepard amid production controversy. Atlanta Sports' Nick Myers with this one. Here's what you can say. Jameson Williams, there have been all sorts of speculations. Would he come in and just be breakout this year, put up this kind of number, that kind of number? All that can be true. All of it can be false, obviously. What we can say is the Lions are happy with him. You've heard MCDC. You've heard Kelvin Shepard, now the defensive coordinator, talk about him. You've heard everybody with the team. St. Brown stood up and talked about him. Because let's face it, he has not put up numbers a lot of people thought they were going to have out of him, at least not yet. But what are you getting from him? You're getting outstanding play across the board, and you have the support of the team, the teammates, and everybody else in between. Jameson Williams is an impact player, and this is what basically, Kelvin Shepard's coming out to talk about. He goes beyond just catching the ball or running the ball or whatever else. When he's on the field, teams have to constantly address where he is, have coverage on him. They're not leaving him in single coverage. We talked about it in the preseason. We've talked about it so far this regular season. 2 guys are always on him. So that means if you got 11 on the field, 9 have to cover everybody else with at least probably 3 or 4 going after the quarterback. I think you can get it. Jameson Williams' impact, his value to the team is more than just catching the ball and running with it. At some point, especially the way we're seeing Sam Laporta and St. Brown carve up defenses, you have to sit back in your coaching cameras and say, hey, why are they constantly getting so open? And I think at least what I see, you guys can offer your thoughts as well, is that Jameson Williams is pulling coverage away from them a ton of times. Some point this season, that's probably going to change. Teams are going to say the heck with it. We can't just let Laporta and St. Brown, Gibbs, or whoever just keep destroying us. We've got to take that double coverage and move it to these guys, which is going to leave Jameson Williams open. You go back to the Cleveland game. Even though some of those passes were missed because of pressure or drops, Jameson Williams got some one-on-ones, and he would have scored some touchdowns if a few of those passes were a little bit different. All right, next to the 5 glorious headlines now. Lions are just handed clear blueprint on how to beat Patrick Mahomes in Week 6. Sideline report, Mike Luciano with this one. And I think they're right. You look at, if you go back and you watch what the Jags did, there's a lot of good stuff you can probably mimic with this Detroit Lions defense. The running game for Kansas City, let's start right there. It's not what it once was. The defense for Kansas City isn't what it once was. But being that as it may, it would be my anticipation, assuming Kelvin Shepard sees things that I see or whatever, or at least views it the same way. The Lions like to play man-to-man defense in all the games this year. We all get it. The Chiefs got speed at wide receiver. They may not have the best guys at getting open, running routes, whatever dynamic you want to look at with those receivers. They've got wheels. They can fly. But they're also struggling to get separation in man-to-man principles. Lions, as you guys all probably know, love to play man-to-man. They like to get after it. They like to switch it up. The offensive line for the Chiefs isn't bad. It isn't great. They do have some weaknesses. We'll get into it in another one of the 5 headlines right here pretty shortly. I think what we should anticipate from this Lions, if they're going to mimic what Jacksonville did, they're going to play one single high safety. Sounds like Kirby Joseph, probably more often than not. And they're going to put a lot of pressure on those receivers, take away the interior routes, force everybody towards the sidelines and upwards, outwards. That seems to be where the struggles mostly are. Chiefs don't really have anybody who works the middle of the field. Maybe when Rice gets back, they'll have more of that. He's probably their best guy out there in that regard. I would also throw this out there. Their tight end, Kelsey, he looks like he's starting to lose some of his luster. I mean, I get it. He's played in the league for a long time. He's been a superstar. He just doesn't seem like he's getting out in and out of breaks nearly as well as he once did. Lions also thankfully have some pretty good linebackers at coverage, whether you want to throw a safety on them, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think this is a pretty good ideal matchup for the Lions. Now, the second areas we're going to be talking about during the main topic of the day is going through some flex. If Branch is out there or if he's not out there, that will add to that, so we'll have to dive into that momentarily. All right, next to the 5 glorious headlines. Dan Skipper's return brings clarity to the left tackle situation heading into Sunday. Sideline report, Michael Coldwater with this one, or Coldwater. I think we all get it. Manu last week filled in, and while I think there was some good stuff there was some bad stuff too. Anytime you have a younger player trying to develop, you have to take the good with the bad, and that's pretty much what you had with Manu. Now, Skipper last year, I think we're all probably pleasantly surprised how well he did when Taylor Decker was out for some time. Decker, we still don't know if he's going to go this weekend. Probably really won't know until Saturday. That would be my guess, maybe even Sunday. But what we do know is with Skipper's return, he's probably going to take over Giovanni Manu, and that will be an upgrade. Are they going to still leave him on the island, Skipper that is, and blocking assignments? Probably not, at least not very often. Manu, while Campbell did say he had some good moments, he had some bad moments. Let's also, if you want to go by Pro Football Focus metrics, it wasn't the greatest. We'll put it that way. According to Pro Football Focus, Manu posted a pass blocking grade of 17.5, and that is out of 100. Manu gave up 2 of the 4 sacks allowed on Jared Goff, did contribute in a third, including one of the blindside hits late in the game or later in the game that a lot of Lions fans probably were, collectively held their breath. Those were the first sacks Goff has endured in basically 3 weeks. You could even round up and say 4 weeks. So it's probably not the worst thing, but you also don't want your quarterback taking any kind of shots if you can prevent it. Whether or not Decker's going to play, again, don't know until this weekend. Dan Skipper, it'd be my anticipation, would start, assuming that ankle and lower leg is okay, and then just let Giovanni Manu continue to develop over time. I do like Manu, but I do think we all agree that he's going to need some more time. All right, let's see. Lions MRS St. Brown update emerges before Chiefs game. Athlon Sports, Galvin Groh with this one. He was injured. You guys get it. He hurt the wrist. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a big deal. I know we talked about that lightly yesterday, but this kind of confirms it. He was back on practice yesterday. Doesn't seem to have any kind of protective gear on the wrist or any kind of wrapping. So just maybe a veteran's rest day. Hard to believe, but he is getting to be a bit of a veteran as far as St. Brown, and he's also one of the key components to this offense. You take him out of the offense, it is different. There's nobody in the wide receiver room who can replicate what St. Brown does nearly at the same rate. It'd be like taking out Goff, in my opinion. We all get it. St. Brown, he's a gamer. He's going to power through anything unless he really can't. So it was a big surprise. He's back to practice and probably going to play Sunday. Probably not. All right, and then the last of the 5 glorious headlines here. In fact, let me pull up a little bit of a graphic for this one. You guys know I like to add the graphics in. So the Chiefs' offensive line is Detroit's biggest challenge probably yet this year, but there's a big weakness regarding Aid Hudson, and the Lions can exploit this from A to Z Sports. Mike Payton has broken this one down. Let me get this off the screen. All right, so pass protection ratings composition. You guys see it. Denver Broncos, #1 offensive line when it comes to pass protection league. Falcons, you guys can go through the entire metrics. Lions were much higher prior to last week, but you give up 4 sacks and a couple of hits on your quarterback. That does change things. I want to say they were #7 last week. Maybe it was #6, and they dropped quite a bit. Kansas City Chiefs, as you can see on the graphic, are #7. But their tackles, I think, can be exploited. And it sounds like Mike Payton is on the same mindset with that. Their interior offensive line is actually pretty dang good. Their tackles, while not bad, you can see they're not Giovanni Manu. They're a grade above that, I would say, but they can be exploited. They're not as fleet of foot as perhaps some of the other lines we've seen. They also sometimes struggle, from what I've noticed so far this week watching them on film, with a lot of swim move techniques, etc. So let me go ahead and take this off the screen. I think you guys get it. I think the Lions are going to try to test out those tackles. We get it. You got to keep, Patrick Mahomes as contained as you can. You're probably going to continue to see Shepard's shell coverage from the line, pushing it in, not giving him room to run. If you didn't watch last week's game and recent games for the Chiefs, he's basically their leading rusher at this point in the season. So if you can limit that from him and get some pressure on him while playing man-to-man, it seems like that's a good situation for what we typically like to do, and also what the Chiefs currently are struggling with the most. That all being said, this is going to be a game, and I don't think I get the more you watch national media, there are a lot of people jumping on board saying, hey, Lions are going to win by 10, 7 points, whatever. Pro Football Focus had their grades. You guys probably all have seen the NFL preview video that I want to say like the majority of those guys picked the Lions to win. I think the Lions will win. I'll go through that all with Dan O'Damas tomorrow. But I do think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. All right, all that done, settle away. Let's get this on over to the main topic of the day. Terry and Arnold, you guys get it? Going to be out for a little while. DJ Reed, going to be out for a little while. Brian Branch, and again, if you're just joining the show, this is coming from Dave Burkett with the Detroit News and Free Press. And I do want to give credit where credit's due. You also have CBS Sports on this, Cowboy Wire on this as well. And you guys get it, but there's quite a few out there. He's Brian Branch is heading to get, or did head yesterday to get an MRI done on his foot. Now, to me, that's the surprising thing. We were told earlier in the week that, it was an ankle injury, but now it's listed as a foot injury per a couple of those reports. You still have some people saying it's the ankle, but Dave Burkett saying it's a foot injury. And again, multiple reporters watching, practices this week all said the same stuff. He's limping around pretty noticeably. Could they give him the secret sauce maybe before the game and get him to play through it? It is possible. And I can only speak to my thoughts on it. You guys, by all means, can have your own. We've also seen throughout the season already, Brian Branch come out a lot of times, whether it's be for an ankle injury, cramps, or whatever. There does seem to be something going on with his lower leg, and I'm guessing most of the MRI done is just investigative. They want to see if something's there that maybe they haven't detected yet. Brian Branch, sort of like Amon-Ra St. Brown, probably not a surprise to any Lions fan. If he's able to go, if he can breathe, he's probably going to be out on that field. He's not someone who wants to miss time. So if the MRI does see something they haven't anticipated, that's where it becomes a bit of a question. And as a coach, probably you would all agree, you got to make a choice. If I play him this week and it could impact him maybe missing a couple of games in the future, do I do that? Or do I sit him this week, let whatever that may be on the MRI, if something is revealed, let it rest up so it's not a problem going forward? That's where you got to make a business decision both for the player and the team. So it'll be interesting to see what that MRI comes back with. The only reason why this is probably even really a story is because Reed is out, Terrion Arnold's out, and if you now take him out of the mix, that secondary starts getting pretty chewed up in a hurry. You get it, that you take out 75% of your starting secondary, there's going to be a change. If he's out, who would you guys put in for him? And whether it's this week, next week, or whatever. If it's me, if it's not a major thing, just talking as a coach here, but I think I got to sit him a game before the bye, it would be next week. That way he's got basically, 2 months, or excuse me, not 2 months, 2 weeks to go ahead and rest it up before they return after the bye. I don't think I would have him sit this week, play against Tampa, and then sit him again. I mean, that's just not what I would do. But again, maybe some of you guys would. Brian Branch, where would you also put him on the pantheon of importance for the Detroit Lions? In my opinion, he's one of the most valuable players out there. And you put him up there with Goff, St. Brown, I don't know, Penei Sewell. You guys get it. He's one of the core pieces of this team. So because of that, you're also going to be a little overly protective with him because you don't want a lingering injury sustaining itself over the long term of the season. Especially with being a secondary person who makes your living off of getting in and out of cuts, running all over the place, more than, say, an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. Not that they're not impacted by foot or ankle injuries, but it's just more so with a wide receiver, secondary person, so you have to be a little bit more attentive to it. But what would you do, crew? We'll get the results probably later today. The team will get the results, and then maybe we'll get some results. But this is coming from a reliable source with Dave Burkett of Detroit News. We'll see what shakes out, but hopefully this is all nothing. If it is something, then yes, the Lions are going to have to make a choice whether they sit him this week, next week, or for a few weeks. I don't know, but I don't think hopefully, unless they find something in that MRI that they're not anticipating, then hopefully it's not a big deal at all. All right, let's go ahead and get to the Duke Crew for a little bit before we bring on Professor Steele into the show. So let's dive in. JDC, good morning all. Back at you. Jameer, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew family, and good to see you. It has been a hot second, my friend. I hope not, but next man up, yeah, if they've got to sit them, for preventative reasons for a week or two, then somebody else will fill in, and unfortunately, that's part of football. Injuries will happen. Just seen this on X yesterday night. Dang, man, our secondary just got torn up. It has been torn up a little bit. Why that is just one, positional group over some other ones, I don't know. I know you guys have asked that in the last week or so. I think it just happenstance. I don't think it's, there's like some thing they're doing schematically or in practice that is particularly beating up the secondary. I think it just is what it is. Johnny, what the heck is happening to the Lions? Same thing every other football team goes through. Injuries, my friend. Shamir, hope everyone is having a great morning, and back at you. Always a pleasure to see you. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach Dan, the Duke Crew. What a team. What a podcast. Exclamation point. What a time to be a Lions fan. Woo! And back at you. Johnny L, good morning, folks. Silver, good morning, Coach and everyone. And always a pleasure to see you. Big Eddie, why is it always the defensive players who get hurt for us? Question mark. Are we just too physical? I don't understand. To your point, it does seem like our defense the last year and a half has gotten beat up more than the offense. That's probably a good thing. Some of it is, and this is purely speculation on my part. Some of it is I just think the Lions, they play a very physical style of defense. Sometimes, we hit each other too. Maybe there's a correlation there. I really don't know. Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. Birds sure are crashing lately. Woo! I knew that was coming. Yes. How about them Eagles? Jess, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. Laughing out loud, Bo. How about them Eagles? There you go. And what is going on with Branch? Sounds like it's anywhere from an ankle situation to a foot situation. Again, they're running some tests to make sure it's probably not a big deal. We'll find out. Johnny L, any word on what he did? If you go back, Johnny, to like last week's game, you do see, him come off the field a couple times. They, give him the magnetic tape on it. So whether it is his ankle or foot, I don't specifically know, but you could see him addressing that area. So is there a correlation between the ankle to the foot? I mean, I don't know. Without more details, that's about all I can give you. France, T.A. Reed, Branch, all at the same time. I don't know. With KC and Tampa next, that's bad timing. It would not be ideal for sure because both teams, to your point, can pass the ball. They both got some strong armed quarterbacks and some receivers that can cause you some problems. Orlando, Detroit, good morning, Duke Crew. Worldwide, exclamation point. How about them Giants? Question mark. And what the heck is it with our Lions? Sheesh. Yeah, that's a good question, my friend. Johnny L, we're in trouble? Let's hope not. Silver Server, Johnny L, what do you mean? What is happening to the Lions? How long have you been with the Lions fans? How many times have we seen the unthinkable happen? Rakestraw, Reed, man, I forgot about Rakestraw. T.A. Dorsey out, KJ with a brace. Indeed, indeed. Silver Server, and now Brian Branch. Yeah, and, to your point, Kirby Joseph is still nursing that knee, so it is what it is. Johnny L, this is not good. Yeah, hey, it's an opportunity for somebody else to succeed. Sir, another word out on the Jackson Dart. A rookie with incredible confidence reminds me of Mahomes. The way he stays and escapes the pocket, finds great rushing lanes for himself, and beats the Super Bowl champs. I didn't watch the whole game. I watched a little bit, but you see his athleticism and his ability to read and react pop off the charts. And just, coach speak, he sees openings, and to your point, he does, he goes with what the eye sees. The more he plays, defensive coordinator is going to try to figure out basically what are his weaknesses and take advantage of that. But so far, the kids, man, he's been lights out. Just kidding. Hey, everyone. Does anyone know if this is normal to have so many hurt players early in the season? Yeah. I mean, if you're a fan of, say, I don't know, Green Bay or San Francisco, you would see injuries there as well. It's just because we're Lions fans, at least in my opinion, we're more sensitive to these injuries. But they're happening everywhere. It just stinks that it's one positional group getting hit so hard for us. So small. Is it just me, or does it feel like the fan base just isn't as fired up this year as other seasons? I don't know. I was actually talking to Sarge about this a month ago, maybe a few weeks ago. But it does feel like that the fans were excited about the season, but we're just not the same excitement level like last year. Maybe that's because the year before we were in the NFC title game. I don't know. Server. And Dart has his number one receiver, Neighbors, out for the season. Yeah, ACL. So talk about other teams having injuries, right? Shows how much rookies can really contribute. Yes, the right rookies can in a big, bad way. Johnny L, who's going to step up for him? That's a great question. Doug, hey, I made a live show. Exclamation point. Give me a woo, Coach Dan. You want a woo? I'll give you a woo. 1, 2, 3. And will you go? Tori, so long, I would somewhat agree with that. In your opinion, we are all excited, but I do think some are just getting used to the team being good. It could be that, where if you go back a couple seasons ago, we just went through basically 20 years of the Lions not being good. And now we've gone through, half a decade of them being one of the better teams in the NFL? It is probably starting to become commonplace. Think about it. I'd look at it this way. Think about if you were 15 years old when this turnaround, this renaissance for the Lions happened. You're 20 now, and really the majority of your adult life, all you've known is Lions being one of the best teams in the NFL. Let that sink in for some of you guys. Johnny L, right on. Doug. Robert, no, I'll take that. Bo, so some fans are still paying off last year's tickets. Could be accurate, very accurate. Drake, what's good? All question mark. Let's wait to see what the tests on his legs say. Can't be losing him, though. To me, he's one of our 5 best players. Yeah, he's definitely one of the higher ups on the team. I agree with you fully on that. Just say, Cave Morning, the team needs to drink more milk, I think. Shake my head. Yeah, you might be right. Maybe it's something to do with a lack of proteins or something like that. Johnny, hit those buttons. Hit all the buttons if you would, please. Hookadoo, good morning, Duke Crew. Well, at least the thumbnail said could be with a question mark. We might be down, but we're not out. Exclamation point. Great wins. Yeah, I just posed the question. That's all. Silver Server, KC is still a great team, has speedsters all over the field and on defense. This time, as opposed to 2 years ago, they will not underestimate Detroit one bit, and they need this game. We'll see. Yeah, I think it's, I hate using the term must win, but let's face it. If they lose this game, they're 2-4? Yeah, that's tough. You're chasing Denver by that much, but I mean, it's still a lot of season left. It would not be ideal. Good morning, boys. Exclamation point. Our offense might need to control the game more while putting up 40 points the next 2 weeks. Who needs to buy more than us? Nobody. Yeah, might be accurate. And we're, 2 weeks away. The Lions Talk Live fan, maybe it's time to lighten up on practice. Fair question. I mean, give the coaching staff some credit here. Taylor Decker really doesn't practice. Kirby Joseph really doesn't practice. So the guys that are out of practice and trying to recover, I mean, they aren't practicing, but something's happening where, at least for the secondary, we might want to analyze if there is something you could do to adjust it to try to help these guys out. Because if they lose much more, not good. Coach Rock, good morning, Duke. It looks like we're going to need more grit for the team. I like the way you're thinking. Silver, sir, I understand the, quote, next man up concept, but that can only go so far if you lose everybody. Yes, if there's nobody left, that would be a problem. Hey, Queen Mary, good morning, Duke Crew. How is everyone? Countdown begins until we kick butt. I like the way you're thinking. Always a pleasure to see you, Mary. Carrie, good morning, everyone. Back at you. Great day, top of the morning, and the SOL comes out from many Lions fans, but people get hurt. It's part of the game. I agree with that fully. But the Lions coaching staff will have this team ready. Everything is fine. Yeah, and you're going to lose players. Anybody who's watched football for a long time, or any kind of length of time, I should say, you probably get it. The injuries are unavoidable. It's just that kind of impact sport. So what do you got to do? You got to be ready to go if you're one of the backups. Okay, good morning, Johnny L. Silver Server, exclamation point. We got to catch that wave of grit, Silver Server. Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Johnny L., according to Google, something with his foot. Yes, and that's the thing. It says foot in some. It says, ankle in others. I don't know. Dave Burkett had it as his foot, so maybe that's why the MRI versus the ankle. Dre Day, Silver Server, 5 players. Isn't everybody dramatic much? All right, Jason. Who will step up for our new secondary? I still think we win this game 41-28. Man, I think it might have to be something like that. I do too, and I'm not going to give a spoiler for tomorrow, but I guess I just did. I do think the Lions still win. It's just going to be in a different fashion. I have a lot of faith in Avonte Maddox, Kirby Joseph, assuming he's able to go, some of these secondary components. The front 7, though, is going to have to maybe do a little bit more to lighten their load. Good morning, my queen, Mary Smith, and the always ready with grit rock. There you go. Chuck, good morning, coach and Duke Crew. Exclamation. I hope it's good news for Brian Branch. We'll know later today. Like I was saying earlier, Chuck, I'm sure you heard it. Unless it is something egregious where the training staff has to come after him and say, hey, we need you to sit a week or 2 or whatever it may be to get through the bye and then return, I'm guessing Brian Branch plays. It just doesn't seem like his mental aptitude where, hey, I'm going to sit down. If I'm not told I have to sit down, I'm going to play. But without knowing the full results of the MRI or what's going on, all we can go by is what the reporters are telling us, or they're watching the first available part of practice, that he's limping noticeably. So then the question becomes, if I continue to play, do I actually further exacerbate the situation? And that's where the coaching staff and medical staff are going to have to make a business choice. Johnny L., great morning to you, Mr. Hookadoo. I concur to both of you. Mary Smith, I seen on the St. Brown podcast that Brian Branch was going to be okay. I hope he is, man. And again, he's a warrior. He's going to truck through it. But do they have to make a choice, depending on whatever they find out with MRI, to make a decision? Is he going to sit this week, 2 weeks, et cetera? Jennifer, good morning, all. Exclamation point. Are you kidding me? Let's hope not, my friend. Let's see, Dave. Goff and the offense might need to carry the team for a few weeks. Yeah, it's possible. Tim, more overreacting, getting a MRI doesn't mean he's gone. No, it doesn't mean he's gone at all. Nobody's saying he's gone. I'm sure you read the thumbnail where it says it's a question mark. So we're going to have to wait and see what the results of that are. And I feel like I've talked about that quite a bit this morning. Dre Day, MCDC said this already, but if the secondary isn't as strong, then the front 7 will have to do more. It's pretty, black and white. Yeah, I'm down with you there. And I think MCDC did a good job with it. Real coach speak. Mary Smith, to my Lions Talk Live, brothers and queens, good morning. Let's get this grit going, and let's stay positive today. I like the way you're thinking. Coach Rock, good morning. Hookadoo, Queen Mary, Johnny L., the grit is in the house. You got a lot of grit in the house, don't we? Steve Rogers, I hope he will be okay. MRI means something is going on, which is why you have an MRI done to find out what's happening. Yeah, it could be simply that there's something with the foot they're not detecting from a physical aspect. So they do the MRI to see what's happening internally. It can be preventative in nature, but there's enough evidence there that something is drawing a red flag that they want to find out. Let's see, Johnny L., we got this, no worries. I'll agree with that. Stephanie, Timothy, I've never once had an MRI done for nothing. No, I mean, for a sports team to do it, for those who don't know, their training staff believes there's possibly something there. They want confirmation. I mean, Stephanie would know. She went a decade through this stuff. So when I've done it, or excuse me, been a part of it as a professional coach or college coach or whatever, you do it because there's enough evidence that possibly we can't detect what the situation is. Now we need to get confirmation. Is it good? Is it bad? Whatever. Find out. All right, guys, about that time to bring on our special guest of the day. You know him. You love him. He's perhaps the most positive Pete out in the world. Let's go over and get over to Professor Kurt Steele. Kurt Steele, how you doing this morning?
What up, dude? What's going on, everyone? Appreciate you guys, man, for having me on again. Good morning, Duke Crew.
You know, Brian Branch is perhaps the next in a, we don't know fully yet. We only know that he was limping noticeably. What do you think it would mean if the Lions had to play a week or two without BB?
I mean, that'd be tough because with all the other injuries we have in the secondary right now, it's looking like last year, but in the secondary. However, I think that we could manage that. I don't think I think with our front seven, we can manage that. Because last year, it was the front seven that was taking so many injuries to the linebacker core and to the front seven of our defensive line. I mean, it was a crap show. But I think with our secondary that we have right now and our front seven, we could be able to manage that. Is it going to be ideal? Absolutely not. But is it manageable? Yeah. I think we can manage that.
So with, Dave Burkett's report, they're sending him in, Brian Branch in for an MRI. What does that tell you about why the team would do that?
It's got to be something nagging in there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they can't, like I just heard you say it, maybe they can't detect something from the exterior where it doesn't, it's not swollen. Maybe, there's no really physical, outstanding stuff that you can see with just the naked eye. So they need to go in and look interior. Maybe they, had an x-ray on it already and then nothing was in there. So let's, look at, some nerves or something like that to see if there's something going on with that. Could be something, could be nothing, he's limping a little bit, maybe just hey, all right, so you got a little something going on in there and BB maybe okay, I'm just going to play through it. I got 2 games to the bye. So, we got a mini bye coming up this week because we play Sunday night and then we're going to play against a Monday night. So that's another day off. And, then after the Bucks game is the bye. So maybe he just fights it out.
So like you already pointed out, man, the Lions, if Brian Branch was to miss any plays or be limited, I don't know. You've already got DJ out. You got TA out. Who would you anticipate potentially fills in for both the cornerbacks and, if it happened, Brian Branch?
Okay, Avante Maddox will move to safety. Rocky Shin will come in at one corner. Of course, we already know that. Amik Robinson's on the other outside, and then you can mix in the 2 new guys that's on the practice squad. You can mix in Trey Flowers, big dude, he can cover, and then of course Millette, who's a nickel. So we have a bunch of guys that can play nickel, that can play different positions. So, and the good thing about most of these guys are they're former starters, and you can probably plug and play those guys, and they're not new guys off the shelf, and these guys are pretty decent players. They're not at their peak as they probably once were, but they're professional football players, and they can go out there and play. So. I don't see it where it's just like this, the sky's falling, what I'm saying? You still got Kirby playing on the back end. If Branch goes out, if Branch is in, you got those 2 guys on the back end. I think we can manage with those guys, what I'm saying? Rocky Shin's been, playing good. They were strategic in the guys that they picked up this offseason. And they picked guys that could, that had starting experience and guys who are good, good in the secondary. So then they have a particular skill set that the Lions like. They can play there in the run support. You look at a guy like I said, Trey Flowers is a big corner, man. And he can match up against like what's his name? Thornton over there in Kansas City. So, he's a bigger, taller receiver, get him down. And of course, we're playing Kirby over the top. So, I mean, like, all is not lost for these next 2 games.
Hey, you gotta love those Thorntons, man. But I loved him coming out of college. I remember mocking him to us a couple times because I did, think he has some physical skills for sure.
Yeah.
All right,
plus you could have got a Lions jersey with Thornton on the back, so it would just match. But
all right, so as we get ready for this game, where do you think the Lions have some advantages against Kansas City?
I think this is going to be a game next, probably 2 games where the Lions offense is going to be their best defense. It's like the Lions offense is going to be key in this matchup, man. Control the clock. Looking at some of the things, man, I think that the Lions can take advantage of the Chiefs defense is not as good as it once was. They still have some good linebackers, but they still can take advantage in the run game. Some things are going to be contingent on, if a few players play, especially if Decker plays. I'm looking at that where, I don't want to give away too much because I have a show coming up at 8:00,
right.
But there's some advantages they have in the run game and in the pass game as well. Outside of really McDuffie, I'm not scared of any of the secondary in Kansas City. They're not the same secondary that they once were. Like a lot of the guys aren't there. You Snead's not there, and a couple other guys. I'm looking at their secondary. I'm like, I'm not scared of any of these dudes, man. McDuffie is really good, but he's going to spend most of his day on Amon-Ra St. Brown. So that's one guy. And you look at the other weapons that we have on our offense. Laporta. I don't see any of those linebackers that they have can cover Laporta one-on-one. I just don't see it. They're not that great in coverage where they can just cover up a tight end. And Laporta's the best tight end they're going to face. They faced this year. So you got to look at like last week they've been playing backup tight ends most of the year, and they ain't played a guy like Sam Laporta yet. So looking at that matchup, and then I'm looking at what we can bring with Tesla and Jamo. I mean, people keep talking about Jamo, man. Jamo, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep running your routes. Keep blocking. Your targets are gonna come, man. But he's an invaluable part of our offense, man. And he doesn't whine. He doesn't complain. He doesn't get targets.
Nope.
He just goes out there. He keeps playing. The targets are gonna come, man. And we've only played 5 games, man. We got a whole 12 more games to play. Please calm down. Jamo is gonna get his targets, man. But he's. Yeah, I heard you say it earlier, and I have to echo that. Like, he takes so much coverage away from St. Brown and Laporta that he opens up so much down the so much in the middle of the field. He's gonna get some digs and some crossers and some go routes, man. And once you loosen up a secondary with the run game, our run game is going to be more improved now that now that we have Skip back in the lineup, and of course if we get Decker healthy. I see, and I'm going to talk about it later on my show, something that's going to return that we've done in the past. So, but yeah, that's going to be our offense is going to be our best defense, and as far as keeping Mahomes off the field.
Yeah, Mahomes. He's a weapon. It's hard to believe he's been in, the league as much as he has, but in your anticipation. With the situation with Decker, if he does play, doesn't play, Skip's in, Manu's in, whoever's in at left tackle, do you think the Lions are going to turn more to their 12 personnel? Because it does feel like they've got the most difficult 12 personnel package in the NFL and the hardest to guard.
It's going to be 12 personnel. It doesn't matter who's going to play at left tackle. It's going to be a 12 personnel type of game. And, keeping that interior. I'm interested to see what we do with Jones. Double team blocks, some duo, wham blocks when you get up to that second level, of course, in the run game. Because we can utilize, of course, Sonic and Knuckles this game. I think this is going to be I think this game is gonna be a Jared Goff special as well. We get to running the ball, and we start at play action, man. It's gonna be a lot of play action passes where we can get some guys like St. Brown, Laporta, and Jamo down the field, and Tesla as well. But yeah, looking at this game, man, they're gonna utilize Brock Wright. You're gonna see some 3 tight end sets out there. You're gonna see some 13 personnel where I'm like, yeah, get some big bodies out there and get to running this rock, but then you can throw out of that because Brock Wright's a good receiving tight end, and we all know what Laporta can do. And then depends on who's going to be in the game. Jamo, St. Brown, everybody's going to have a chance to eat because this Chiefs secondary isn't that great. It isn't the same as what it used to be.
And that was going to be my next question to you. I mean, you've already talked about it. I mentioned it before you got on. Jameis Williams, at least when I watch him, I think he's a key piece of this offense. And you take him out, it is different because, like your points, the coverage that you're providing everybody else is so impacted because of what Jamo can do. The teams have to respect it. Otherwise, I know Cleveland rolled the dice on a couple plays, left him in single coverage. And if, Myles Garrett or whoever else didn't hit Goff as he was throwing, they had a couple of touchdowns on the board there. Goff clearly read it. Jameis Williams, fans, I get we all want to fixate on the stats, but in your opinion, scale 1 to 10, how impactful is he to this offense?
Oh man, he's scale of 1 to 10, man. He's a 9. Because he just takes so much coverage. He just takes guys away from the middle of the field. Like he's got 2 guys on him at all times. I mean, you look at what Baltimore did, man. They just pushed their secondary back, and it was like, you know what, everybody just back. This is good. This is get back. Because he had a couple of after that first drive, and he had a couple, maybe longer, saying dig routes or comeback routes where they were 15, 20 yards down the field, and they were just like, you know what, we can't just keep playing him one-on-one. We're gonna have to have a safety over the top. So it's just going to be key. I mean, and their safeties aren't that great anyway. So, and looking at the passing chart from the game with Kansas, with Jacksonville, they had some deep shots and they took them and they took advantage of them.
They did big time. Aleem McNeil, do you think he returns this week or you think it's maybe after the bye, Tampa Bay? What are you thinking?
Man, God, I hope so. I hope it's Sunday. And the positive outlook is that he was a full participant in practice yesterday, so no longer limited. So I'm looking at this like, yeah, full participation in practice. That's going to go a long way. I think he's itching to get in, man. And I don't say he starts and plays a full game, but he'll be on a snap count and just to get him back because he's going to be vital for that second half of the season.
All right, so the lead or that question takes us to this question. He returns. Mekhi Wingo's back, but been inactive the last couple weeks. Somebody's got to go from this defensive line because it's starting to look pretty crowded and overloaded. Who do you think's on the short side of the stick?
Ooh, man, that is tough. Maybe O'Connor loses some snaps. Maybe Lacey loses some snaps. Yeah, maybe Williams, Talik, maybe he scales back a little bit. I mean, but here's the thing. You can have a platoon style defensive front where you just have guys coming in, you keeping everyone fresh and they all have similar skill sets and there's no big drop off when guys rotate in and out of the game. You can keep everyone fresh. You can keep DJ Reader fresh because he's a long runner too. You can keep Williams fresher because he's going to hit that rookie wall here soon. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going to have play more snaps than he did in college. So you look at that, man. They have a problem that most teams will want to have.
Absolutely. So my next question then, there are a lot of Lions fans that kind of had some thoughts on the amount of snaps Hutch has put up already this year. With some of the guys returning, McNeil or whoever you want to say, Wingo, do you think the Lions should drop Hutchinson's snap count down to keep him fresher, protect him, or just keep letting him doing what he's doing?
He's not going to let them take his snaps.
Right.
He's not going to let them. If you know Hutch, if you watch Hutch, that's what he does. He is who he is. He plays with a high motor. And he plays all game. And that's just who he is. He's been that way since I watched him. Even at Michigan, he was the same way. He's going to play the majority of the snaps, and he's going to use his high motor, and he's going to play and play and play till the clock hits zero. And even when he does, he's never tired. Like, even when he looks tired, he's not tired. Like that's just he has the continuous motor, man. And I don't see why you would change that, man. Why would you take that? Because here's my thing. You run the risk of him having to get juice back up when he comes back into the game. And then now you slowed his motor down. Never slow down a motor over Ferrari, man. You keep that engine revving.
Right. All right, last question I got for you, and then I know you got to get ready to set up shop for your show. Let's assume, until we know otherwise, Khalif Raymond may not play this week. Does that mean Isaac Tesla is your number 3 and that Lovett get on the field? If so, what are your expectations for these two gentlemen?
Yeah, I think Tesla will get that third wide receiver. He got the early snaps probably on Wednesday, and then he got probably the majority of the snaps yesterday because of the fact that Khalif Raymond was limited. You see what he did in the game when Khalif went out, man. He got a touchdown, and he's another guy who can draw coverage as well because of his speed, what I'm saying, and his size. So, he opens up the underneath routes for, St. Brown and, of course, for Laporta. So, I just see him going out there and doing his thing, man. And once he gets out there, it's going to be hard to get him off.
Yeah. What was it last week when he got more snaps? Probably because Raymond, you go back and watch the coaching film, most of his routes, not all of them, but I'd say the vast majority were the deeper shots that like Jamo likes to run. You get 2 of those guys doing that opposite sidelines. Oof. Talk about open up the middle.
Yep.
All right, let's get you out of here. Let's why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody about you, yourself, your work, where to support you, and how to find you.
Of course, you can find me on the Boss Up Ball Out podcast, man, over there on our YouTube channel. We're going live at 8:00. Going to talk some strategies for the Lions versus the Chiefs today. So come in. It's live. We know how we do it, 30 minutes or less on a Friday. Have some fun. Talk some Lions, and of course, you can find me over at Sideliner Sports. I'm a contributing writer over there as well. Sideliner is SIDLINR sports.com, and go check it out.
All right, well, last thing, how about them Giants last night?
Oh man, loved it. I think like the Phillies coming out, and you look at this, they're not the same team that they were last year. And then of course they lost Carter. That's a big blow to them, man. And what did the Giants do? They ran the ball right up the middle with doggone Scatterboo. So, man, of course, man. And, of course, y'all see me wearing it because I usually wear a Lions hat every day. But I'm rocking the Tigers, baby. Go Tigers. Get into that ALCS, man. Go out there and beat the Seattle Mariners tonight, man, over there in Seattle, man. And good luck to our boys.
Let's get her done. All right, that's Kurt Steele, the host of The Most. Go check him up on the Boss Up Ball Out podcast later today.
Yeah, see you guys at 8. Got about 10 minutes. See you guys. See ya.
See you, Kurt. All right, let's get back to the Duke Crew. Round this out as we get through some comments here. Lionel is all thumbs up. You got to agree with that. Hookadoo, the Godfather, is going to rise and shine on Sunday night with our offense! Exclamation point. I concur. Server. Yes, but players are getting injured in games, not in practice. It's just bad luck, and I don't think artificial turf helps. Really, ground gives in without giving energy back. Real grass get cut by cleats. Yeah. So for those who don't know, one thing I was impressed about with Sheila Hamp Ford is that, or Ford Hamp, I think it was about a year ago, she invested a ton of money in upgrading the turf or the playing surface at Ford Field to protect the players. I don't remember the exact specifics off the top of my noggin, but she invested millions and millions. The players all seem to think it is a big upgrade, but we are getting hurt. Is there a correlation? Man, somebody with a better degree at that kind of stuff would have to isolate that and do a deep dive study on it. All right, Server, Hookadoo Godfather, 100% smiling, says Server, Rock M, I haven't even seen your posts. I've seen them this morning, but maybe I missed something. Mary, good morning, Professor. I concur, Lionel Flintstone Live. There you go. Bo, press the button, Max. Hit all the buttons if you would, Max. Well, I love the Lions. I think it's better that we rest our players anyways. There you go. JDC, I ain't scared. Go Lions with an exclamation point. Thomas, we all should be concerned that KC has 3 wide receivers run 4.3/40, and our 2 starting cornerbacks are out. Branch is limping. Branch is limping. I mean, that's the one thing that's undeniable. Something is happening with his lower leg on one side. Whether he plays or not, that we don't know. The MRI results, and again, I know I've already covered it on the show, but I'll just say this. All the years I've coached at whatever level, if you're getting an MRI done, there's something there. They're just trying to get confirmation. If it's this, that, and the other thing, the normal tests, the exterior tests aren't providing the information. The player, athlete in this case, is saying, hey, I get what you're saying, but here's what I'm experiencing. So what do they have to do? They have to dive in where the eyes can't see with the MRI. All right, Johnny Gas Sports. Good morning, Duke Crew, and back at you, Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer, I'm all for real grass instead of playing on cement like artificial turf. Have played on both, and there is a big difference. The Silver Dome was like cement turf. Yeah, Silver Domes, if you never walked on it, let me tell you, you're just walking on concrete. There's about 1.5 inches of pad. That's nothing, man. You know, when guys hit that, you are hitting concrete. Let's see, but rest in peace, the Pontiac Silverdome. Mary Smith, and good morning to you, Johnny Gas. I'll go with that. Lionel, KC wide receivers are all semi-dinged up, so reduce that stat. Yeah, they do all seem to, their starters at least, have some lower leg situations going on. Big M, blew my knee on artificial turf. Remove it all. Major reason why there are so many injuries, particularly significant ones. I could be accurate there. Sir, rock 100%. Steven, good morning, Duke Crew and Coach Dan. Have a do-tastic day. Exclamation point, go Lions. And back at you, my friend. Dre Day, I would only be concerned if the coaching staff wasn't aware the Chiefs receivers have great speed. Yeah, if they somehow didn't know, that would be something. Thomas, with all the concerns about our D, we need to control the ball again with our running game. Exclamation point. Keep KC's off the field. I do think that, it's a perfect setup for the Lions. What do we want to do innately? We want to run the ball. I know I was talking about it briefly with Professor Steele. I also think we have the most diversified 12 package of 12-man personnel in the league. It just puts a ton of pressure on teams because both of our tight ends, Laporta, Wright, they can do damage in the passing game. So now what do? Like, go back and watch last week's game. Whenever they dropped 2 safeties deep or, off the line, didn't have one of them up there, we ran the ball. They brought that other guy up, we passed the ball, and they just didn't have good answers for it. To be fair, though, every team we've faced when we've run the 12-man front, they haven't had great situational awareness how to defend it, and nobody has in the league so far. Lions are very skilled at that. Great Lakes, what is it with us and injuries on defense? I get we're not the only team, but what is it with the water in Detroit? That's a good question. Thomas, Big M, I'm totally with you on the turf. Get rid of it. We'll see if they do. Coach Rock, we need to spy on Mahomes and keep that lover boy tight end in check. All right. Silver Dre Day, you can all have your knowledge, but we can't do much about it if you don't have personnel. And boy, we are getting mighty thin in the DB side. I agree with that. Dre Day. True, but I do believe Brad has our players who follow what they want and teach, hence why they are winning, and those players are on the field. Silver. All right. Thomas, SS, yes, players are getting more hurt in games. Exclamation point, practice is practice. Intensity triples in games. You're right with that. Good point, Thomas, says Riley. Great Lakes skipper, offensive weapon. Yes, he is. Dennis, I like that hat cut. Yes, he has a good hat there. And yeah, go Tigers night. Thomas, look, I love Tessa and what he could be. Yes, we'll see what he ends up becoming. As Mary, I believe when Mahoney gets sacked, he's not going to be able to focus. Hutch is going to get into his game. Yep, I agree. Hey, Hutch is playing phenomenal so far. Thomas, I love to lie what he could be, but 3 catches in 5 games, I get it. He's a rookie, but he blocks extremely well. He does, yeah. But the production better pick up. We'll see what happens. That's Tessa. Yeah, I figured that's where we're going with that, Thomas. Thomas, as long as we keep the game away from the refs, we can win this game. Go Lions! Exclamation point. Man, you're not wrong there with that take. Silver, Dre Day, okay. And by the way, I like Arthur Mallet. He used to be very athletic, good hips, and great tackler. But there are way too many new players. But I'll say stay positive like you. All right? Try to stay positive for sure. Kerry just got to contain the quarterback and control the clock when we have the ball. I like the way you're thinking. Mary's, let's see, Dennis, I agree 100%. Big M, with Khalif banged up, Tesla will get more opportunities. That I do agree with fully. fully. Dre Day, stay off the ledge. Silver Server, Lions are good. I like the way you're foretelling that future. Kerry, still want to see more from Lovett. You might this game if Khalif is not able to go. Dennis, Mary, yes, Mama, I don't see a clear loss for any of these teams or a matchup nightmare. We are. What we provide on the offense is a massive problem for most defenses. Brent, agreed, Kerry. Top will be a key. Keep KC's offense off the field. I like it. I like it indeed. Silver Server, don't Dart was tossing passes to unknown wide receivers. Rookies are catching passes right and left. I'd like to know why Tesla is being used with tweezers. Right? You can't give the ball to everybody, right? You get it. The more passes Tesla gets, the more you're taking away from, some of your proven players who probably are just getting open more, I'm guessing. Adora K, man, talk about somebody we haven't seen in a hot second. We are messed up. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. This is why we never go far. Every year, it's a ton of injuries for this team. Shake my head. Let's hope we are healing on up. Silver Server, Adora K, laughing and okay. Thomas, it's funny to talk about Jamo having such an impact on the opposing team. We're talking about Kansas City with 4 wide receivers running a 4.3 and half our defensive back injured. We are talking about it. It's actually part of the main topic of the day. I would not bring back McNeil till we were early next week. Why? A question mark. We need him 100% after the bye. We'll see if that's what they do. Anymore. Have a glorious day to my friends and a stupendous weekend. Exclamation point. Peace out. We'll see you on the next one, Henry. Thomas, when McNeil comes back, it'll be hard to take away O'Connor because O'Connor plays special teams and Lazy does not. All right. Silver Server, Big D, they will use the same game plan as with Lamar. Why not? Question mark. It is depleted. Secondary going to change that? Perhaps. Yeah, could be. We'll see what the Shep has in store. Thomas, good point on Hutch. You can't play Hutch gas all the time. Exclamation point. He needs to be given at most 75% of the snaps. Later in games, he's toast. JD, the Lions are going to be able to win by double digits. Exclamation point. We're a bad matchup for the Chiefs. I would agree with that. And but we'll dive into that more tomorrow. Thomas, can't say Hutch and his motor never stop because it stops when you take them out of the game. It can't be both. All right. Leo, coach question. How many coaches can you name since Wayne Fonts? I counted 7. Who am I missing other than Dan? Ooh, boy. There's a lot, man. Marinelli, Schwartz. Boy, I'm trying to remember. Gosh, the former Michigan coach who filled in on a temporary basis. Then there was the guy that ran off Barry Sanders. He was in the military, coached in San Diego before this. Boy, I don't know, man. There's probably quite a few, but I'm not able to list them all right now. Silver Server, love your logo. Johnny Gas, 100%. Carrie, happy trails. Have a great day. Have a great Friday. Stay safe. Go Lions, Tigers. Woo! Back at you. Mary, Lions Talk Live. Have a blessed day. Stay safe. See you all in the morning. We'll see you then, Queen. Lauren, don't forget to check out the brand of the Michigan Panther Pride. We're changing to Michigan Sports Huddle. Have a good day, Duke Crew. And back at you, Lauren, and all that you do. Pat, we got too many weapons on offense to cover. Lions 34-24. I like the way you're thinking. JDC, happy trails. Duke Crew, go Lions. Victory, and victory will be the key. Bobby Ross, thank you, Dell. Thank you. Marty, yeah, Marty Morton, white too. Took the win. But yeah, there were quite a few. I'm trying to think how many have I covered. I started off with Wayne Fonts. He was the first coach when I became a reporter. Loved him to death, man. Fun as heck to interview. Ross, you can have your opinions on. I mean, I get he meant well, but it just didn't sit well with a lot of the players, especially since that was more of a veteran group and they were so conditioned to Wayne Fonts. Oh, gosh. And then who replaced him? He was the head coach at Michigan. Got fired for, strippers, the barns, something like that. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember. And then after him, who falls in line? I don't know. It kind of all starts mixing together at one point. But anyways, Steve, Bobby Ross was the Barry killer. Might be true. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. If there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you would be so kind before checking out, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Gary Mueller. There you go. Thank you for that. Take care. Be kind to each other. Do something nice for somebody you don't know. And we'll see you all on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody. You're still here? What are you doing here? It's over. The show's over. Go home.